So the Sony XV500 is a refined version of the Sony XP500 that sounds more balanced and it has better instrument separation. Now, we know the JBL Partybox 120 is right around the corner, but today we still have to see how the Sony XV500 stacks up to the JBL Partybox 110.
Regarding pricing, both of these speakers retail for $400, but knowing Sony, I do expect the XV500 to go on sale on a regular basis, and since the JBL Partybox 120 is right around the corner, I also expect to see the Partybox 110 go on sale on a regular basis as well. Nonetheless, if you're going to pick either of these two speakers up, they'll be linked down below, or you can always press on the YouTube shopping button. And if you want to further support the channel, pick up a Big Head approved hat, linked down below. We've got trucker hats and snapbacks. By buying a hat, you help the unbiased and unsponsored videos coming, and it also helps us cover more products and produce more versus videos. Thank you to everyone who's already bought a hat, and look out for more designs coming soon. And also, please remember to hit that like button, and let's get subscribed. Now first, let's talk about the design of these speakers. Now both of these box speakers are relatively small box speakers, and they're both relatively easy to take on the go with you because they both have built-in carrying handles, and the 110 weighs in at 23 pounds and the XV500 weighs in at 25 pounds. And when it comes to durability, these two are the same. They're both IPX4 rated, meaning that a little bit of water won't hurt them. However, they both have mostly plastic bodies which can be scratch magnets, and they both have thin metal grills on the front which can get dented easily. But one design difference that I do feel that it is worth pointing out is that with the 110 it does have a speaker stand mount on the bottom, whereas the Sony doesn't. But then there's the light feature on these speakers. Plainly said, I do feel the 110 has a much more dynamic looking light feature than the XV500, and from their app you can choose from different lighting styles and you can customize the color from the same app as well. Whereas with the XV500, this light feature is decent, but is not as dynamic as the light feature found on the 110, and if you want to customize the color of this light feature, you're gonna have to use the separate Fiestable app. Overall, I feel the light feature on the Partybox 110 looks a lot more dynamic, but keep in mind, if you do decide to use the light feature on either of these two speakers, that is going to take an additional toll on the battery life.
Now, regarding battery life, the XV500 has an advertised battery life of 25 hours, whereas the Partybox 110 has an advertised battery life of 12 hours. However, this advertised battery life of 25 hours on the XV500 is with it playing at 36% volume, which is good for like ambiance, but that's with the light feature turned off, but with the mega bass feature turned on, which is good. However, if you were to use this speaker with its light feature turned on, then it's going to have an advertised battery life of 12 hours. Whereas with the Partybox 110, its advertised battery life of 12 hours is with it playing at 20% volume, which is on par with 36% volume on the XV500, but that's also with both its light feature and its bass boost feature turned off. However, real-world use, if you were to use the Partybox 110 at 65% volume, which I feel is an adequate volume for when you're with friends, and with the light feature turned on and with the bass boost feature set to deep, is going to be good for around 7 hours of playback time, whereas with the Sony XV500, if you were to use the speaker at 80% volume and with the light feature turned on and with the mega bass feature turned on, then it's going to be good for around 8 hours of playback time. But in general, battery life on both of these speakers really varies depending on how you use them. If you use them at a higher volume, that's going to drain their battery life faster. And if you use them with their light features turned on, like I mentioned earlier, that is going to take an additional toll on the battery life. But in general, the Sony does have a slightly longer lasting battery than the Partybox 110. Now, regarding connectivity, both of these speakers can be connected to two devices at the same time, so you and a friend can both be DJ, and latency is not an issue for either of these two speakers, so you can always use them to watch videos with on your phone. And when it comes to audio codecs, the Partybox 110 only has support for SBC, whereas with the XV500, it has support for SBC, AAC, and LDAC. However, if you do want to take advantage of LDAC, you do have to be an Android user because iPhones top out at AAC, and LDAC does take an additional toll on the battery life as well. Now, when it comes to ports, both of these speakers have a 3.5mm audio jack, so you can always use them with a wired connection. However, what's unique here with the Partybox 110 is that it also has an audio out jack, so you can always daisy chain any other speaker to it and get them to play in sync. And personally, I feel that this is a very useful feature. Now, both of these speakers also have a USB-A port so that you can either plug in your own devices and charge them up, or you can plug in a USB stick and play music off of it. Now, I think it's great and all that these speakers have a USB-A port on them and it's great for international markets, but personally, I am still waiting for box speakers to come with a USB-C port because most phones these days just come included with USB-C to USB-C charging cables.
But both of these speakers have 2 1/4-inch inputs so that you can either plug in a microphone for karaoke or you can plug in a guitar. Now with the Sony XV500 you can plug in 2 microphones, whereas with the Partybox 110, technically one port is for the microphone and we are using the 110 right now, and the other port is for the guitar. Now you can plug in your microphone into the second port that's meant for a guitar, like we're gonna do right now. Hold on, just switch this over. Okay, so right now we do have this microphone plugged into the guitar port, but the thing with the guitar port on the Partybox 110 is that it does have a lot more resistance. Right now we have the gain set to 100 on the secondary port on the Partybox 110, whereas if we were to plug this microphone in back into the microphone ports, which we're going to do right now, this port right now has its gain set to 50%. So technically, yes, you can use the Partybox 110 with 2 microphones for karaoke. However, one microphone is going to be significantly louder than the other microphone, so that could be a problem for karaoke. Whereas with the Sony XV500, both ports will keep both microphones equally as loud. So if karaoke is very important to you, and if you do plan on doing karaoke with friends, personally I do recommend the Sony XV500 because both microphones are going to be equally as loud. Whereas with the Partybox 110, technically yes, you can use 2 microphones with it, but one microphone is going to be significantly louder than the other microphone. However, with the Partybox 110, it is easier for you to adjust the EQ of your microphone through JBL's app. Whereas with the Sony XV500, you can't really adjust the EQ of your microphone, however, you can add an echo. But with all that out of the way, let's talk about sound. Regarding speaker setups, both of these speakers have dual front firing woofers and dual front firing tweeters. However, the exhaust port on the Sony shoots out the front, whereas the exhaust port on the Partybox shoots out the back. So with the Partybox, you can always increase its bass by placing it up against the wall, because its bass is going to have something to bounce off of. But before we jump into the sound test, we have to talk about the max volume performance on these speakers. Now, when they're running off of their internal batteries, the Partybox 110 gets decently loud for its size. But with the XV500, the speaker doesn't get quite as loud as the 110 when it's running off of its internal battery. But with both of these speakers, if you use them while they're plugged in, they're going to get you a performance boost. They're going to get louder and they're going to have more bass. And when the XV500 is plugged in, it performs as you'd expect and it keeps up with the Partybox 110. So with both of these speakers, you get a performance boost out of them when they're plugged in. But the performance boost that you get with the Sony is much larger than the performance boost that you get with the Partybox 110. But with all that being said, we're going to jump into the sound test. Both of these speakers are playing at 75% volume, and the Sony is playing with mega bass turned on, and the 110 is playing with its bass boost set to deep.
She got a body like a goddess, and she talks so sweet. It's like I can't believe I'm the one that she wanted. And if I'm really being honest, I know I could be everything she needs if she let me get on it. Yeah. So come here, baby, listen close. Hold me tight, don't let me go. Girl, you know that I'ma want you all my life. So much left to do, except for falling in love with you. So I'ma let you keep me up another time. But please don't stay the night. Don't try to change my mind. Baby, please don't stay the night. I must do what's right. Don't make me ask you twice. Oh, don't stay the night.
So overall, when it comes to sound, the JBL Partybox 110 gets louder and has more bass than the Sony XV500. However, when it comes to quality, the Sony has a more balanced sound signature to it, and it has slightly better instrument separation. Whereas with the Partybox 110, it sounds a little brighter because the highs are a little more harsh. But with both of these speakers, you can always go into their app and adjust their EQs to your liking. So you can make the 110 sound a little less bright if you want. But if you're trying to choose between these two speakers, I feel that if you want a more balanced and more open sound, you can go with the Sony XV500. And if you want more sound, as in you want more volume and more bass, then you can go with the JBL Partybox 110.
But finally, let's talk about pairing these speakers up with other speakers. Now with the Partybox 110, you can wisely pair it up either to another Partybox 110 or to a Partybox Encore 310 or to a 710, and you can get them to play in sync. Or if you have two of the exact same speakers, you can get them to play in left and right stereo mode. But with the Partybox 110, you can only have a total of two Partyboxes wirelessly connected to one another. And also, you cannot connect your larger Partybox to any of JBL's smaller Party Boost speakers, like either a Boombox 3, a Boombox 2, an Extreme 3, a Charge 5, a Pulse 5, a Pulse 4, a Flip 5, or to a Flip 6. And you also cannot wirelessly connect your Partybox 110 to a JBL Partybox Ultimate. However, like I mentioned earlier, the Partybox 110 does have that audio out jack, so you can always daisy chain it up to any other speaker, regardless of size or brand, and get them to play in sync. But then there's the Sony XV500, which is using Sony's Party Connect, and you can wirelessly pair it up to any other Sony speaker that's also using Party Connect, like either another XV500 or to an XV900, XV800, XP700, or to an XP500. And you can have up to 100 speakers wirelessly connected to one another and playing in sync. Or if you have two of the exact same speakers, you can also get them to play in left and right stereo mode. But the really cool thing about Sony's Party Connect is that you can pair your larger Sony box speakers to any of your smaller Sony speakers that are also using Party Connect, like either an XG500, XG300, XE300, XE200, or to an XP43, XP33, or to an XP23. So Sony's speaker pairing protocol is a lot more accommodating because you can pair your larger box speakers to any of your smaller, more portable speakers, whereas with JBL's Party Boxes, you cannot wirelessly connect them up to any of JBL's smaller speakers that are using Party Boost. However, if you do plan on pairing multiple Sony speakers together, personally I have found that if you try to pair more than 4 speakers together, then sometimes there can be some issues like skipping. Whereas skipping is not an issue with JBL's Party Boxes. However, just keep in mind you can only have a total of 2 speakers wirelessly connected to one another. However, when it comes to pairing these speakers together, with Sony speaker pairing protocol, you have to use their app. Whereas with JBL's Party Boxes, you just have to press the TWS button on both of your Party Boxes. So overall, I do feel that Sony's speaker pairing protocol is a lot more accommodating, but JBL's TWS is just simpler to use.
But with all that being said, if you're trying to choose between the Sony XV500 and JBL Partybox 110, I do think that it's a close call here. With the Sony XV500, you're going to have slightly better sound quality because it sounds more balanced and a little more open. You can also plug in 2 microphones for karaoke, and both microphones are going to get equally as loud. You're also going to have slightly better battery life, and you can connect your larger box speakers to your smaller Sony speakers if you want. But with the JBL Partybox 110, this speaker gets louder and it has more bass than the Sony XV500. It also has a much more dynamic looking light feature, and it has that audio out jack, so you can daisy chain it to other speakers. If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit the like button and get subscribed. If you want to pick any of the products up, they'll be linked down below. And if you want to further support the channel, check out the merch. I made some shirts and hoodies that look and feel great. And you know I can be very particular, so I'll only slap my name on something if I'm really proud of it.